do contain nicotine, which, as we all know, is relatively harmless. And it's the smoke from burning that does all the damage. So I'd like to discuss three issues briefly. The first is the misguided concerns that are behind this legislation. The second is the benefits that seem to have been forgotten. And the third is what sensible regulation of vaporising looks like. The government's main concern about e-cigarettes seems to be the gateway theory. Their concern is that young people will take up e-cigarettes who wouldn't otherwise have smoked, will become addicted and go on to smoke. Well, the evidence from 10 years of overseas experience in the UK, Europe and the US is that in fact the opposite appears to be true. As young people are taking up vaping, increasingly they're reducing smoking rates at record levels. Of course, kids will experiment with e-cigarettes, and we all expect that, but it's rare for children to become regular vapers who have never smoked. And we also know the vast majority of them don't use nicotine, and in the US that's approximately 80% who don't use nicotine. The second fear that this legislation is based on is the concern about renormalising tobacco. The idea that if we allow people to vape widely, people will see smoking as more socially acceptable and it will increase smoking rates. But once again, the opposite of that appears to be true. In countries where vaping is widespread, smoking rates is falling at record levels. There's no evidence to suggest that vaping is creating more smoking. It's having the opposite effect as far as we can tell. The third fear is that electronic cigarettes are harmful. Now, I think we all agree there's looking at the science around here, general scientific consensus that e-cigarettes are not likely to be any more than 5% of the harm of tobacco. And according to Public Health England and the Royal College of Physicians, the harm from passive vaping is negligible. So I think this is a fear, not based on evidence, that's driving a lot of people's views. The other very important issue is the benefits of vaping. And this legislation ignores those benefits. I've found in my experience on a daily basis, vaping is helping smokers who are otherwise unable to quit. Electronic cigarettes are unique in that they provide nicotine and also deliver the behavioural aspects of smoking. And they work often where other treatments fail. There are clinical trials of electronic cigarettes, of basic ones that show that they're at least as good as nicotine replacement. The more advanced models that most of you are using today are much more effective. But more importantly, population studies have shown that electronic cigarettes work. A recent estimate in Europe, based on a very large survey of official Eurobarometer data, found that 6 million smokers in Europe have quit using electronic cigarettes. The estimate for the UK is about 2 million, and we think about 10 million in the US. And if 2 out of 3 continuing smokers die from their smoking, that's a huge public health breakthrough. The third thing I wanted to look at was regulation. Everyone agrees there should be some regulation. It's not whether to regulate, it's how much to regulate. And regulation needs to be proportionate to the risk. So it's crazy to regulate cigarettes to any extent like that of smoking. And regulation needs to give an advantage to vaping so that it has a competitive advantage over smoking. We want people to vape, not smoke. And it's irrational to apply severe restrictions to vaping when we allow cigarettes to be available freely at every corner store. This draconian regulation, in my view, will have the effect of protecting the cigarette trade and lead to more smoking. It'll reduce the appeal and availability of electronic cigarettes, it'll reduce their uptake, it'll decimate the industry, and I think it'll lead to the loss of life in Victoria. It'll also increase the unregulated black market and all the problems that go with that. And it perpetuates the myth that smoking is dangerous, that vaping is dangerous. If the Parliament makes this law, it's basically saying we're regulating this dangerous product like tobacco, which is the most lethal of all consumer products. So we need regulation that will provide a balance between allowing vaping to benefit smokers for the improvement of their health, but which will also minimise any risks to the community. So sensible regulation would include bans on sale to young people and no advertising to young people. It would include appropriate marketing, clearly not using young people, not using cigarette imagery. So marketing is important so people know that this product which can save their life is available. Regulation would include child-proof containers, accurate labelling and standards of quality and safety. So regulation's good, but we need to get the right balance. So in my view, we should be removing clauses 9 and 10 from the Tobacco Amendment Act, from this bill, and reviewing them separately. I think they're in their own instrument, and I think it's really important that you as consumers have some say in this regulation, and that's been missing from the current process. So in conclusion, I think the evidence is very clear now that the health benefits of vaping are substantial and the risks from vaping are relatively minor. And with appropriate controls, I think they can save the lives of thousands of Victorians. And we need legislation to support and encourage their use, not to discourage it. And I think the legislation we have before us now will actually harm public health in Victoria. Thank you.
Dr. Colin Mendelsohn. Thank you. Our next speaker is the President of the New Nicotine Alliance, Dr. Attila Danko. He is an experienced, busy general practitioner in Ballarat. Over the last few years, several of his patients have surprised him by being able to give up smoking using personal vaporizers when all other methods have failed. Inspired by the potential revolution in smoking cessation this represents, and appalled by the prohibitionist policies in this country, he began to advocate for the liberation of laws in Australia and became an advocate for the cause. Please welcome Attila.
Thanks everyone. First of all, I want a show of hands. Who here vapes using a tobacco company product? Anyone? No. Anyone at all? No. Okay. I'm going to ask another question. Out of you here, how many of you tried lots and lots of different ways to quit smoking before you found vaping?
Yes!
There you go. I think this shows the power of this device. A smoking simulator that has public health potential probably greater than anything else I've seen, probably even greater than penicillin. The deaths from smoking in the next century alone are projected to reach 1 billion lives. And this is why we are here. Now, this isn't just a device. It's so much more than this. Vaping is actually us, the people, the community, millions of people worldwide who found a much safer way for enjoying recreational nicotine. Remember the first vape you ever had? I do. I was astonished. It was like, wow, isn't this amazing? This feels just like smoking. You know, so many of us, that was the last time we had a cigarette. After that, we didn't smoke anymore. You know, I've never seen that with any other quit smoking method. You don't see people accidentally giving up with any other quit smoking method. But people do with vaping. You know, we were trapped in this prison of smoking. We felt condemned, we felt denormalised and humiliated. We had to go outside, we had to go to the toilet, we had to go to places where others didn't go. We felt like leopards. We felt in a cage. We wondered whether the next time that we coughed up something that it might be the start of lung cancer. We were like prisoners on death row. And then, when we found vaping, it was like a miracle. We were set free. Free at last, free at last. God Almighty, we are free at last.
Yay!
did we do? Well, we helped other people to switch. We helped other people to quit smoking.
Yep.
And some of us had so many demands on so many people wanting us to help them to switch to vaping that we thought, I can't do this forever for nothing. So some of us started a small business. And that way, starting a business, a vape shop, we could actually devote helping people quit smoking full time. Imagine that. So I consider vape shops as possibly one of the most ethical and humanitarian types of businesses that you could ever be involved in.
Yay!
Every day you are there helping each individual to get the right setup for them so they can quit smoking, so they can enjoy the benefits of a smoke-free life. But this bill wants to put an end to that. This bill wants to stop you helping people quit smoking.
Boo!
They want to lock vapes up behind the cupboard. You won't be able to suggest what someone might want or ask them, you know, their wants for juices and to help them out, because it's going to be treated the same as tobacco. And when you treat something like this the same as tobacco, well, everyone knows how to smoke, but people have to learn to vape, and it takes time, and it takes the help of a caring vape shop owner to help them make the switch. But these people here, they just don't get it, and they don't listen to us, and they don't ask the right questions. And I often wonder why all these powerful groups are against vaping. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. It's helping people quit smoking. It's far safer than smoking. And the evidence shows us it's not a gateway to kids taking it up. But the other day I realised why. I was inspired by a certain red-headed politician from Queensland. Because she famously said, I don't like it. When you blow that vapour out, I don't like it. When you don't quit the way I want you to, I don't like it. And that's the essence of their argument. They don't like the way it looks. They don't like people enjoying recreational nicotine. But smokers are saying, I do like it. I really like it. And it's only in liking it, only in the enjoyment, that you can break that powerful addiction from smoking. Let me ask you a question now. If you were fighting against wind power or solar power, what sort of industry do you think you would be supporting? I think most people would see it's pretty clear you'd be supporting the coal industry, the fossil fuel industry. But how come these people can't see that when they are fighting vaping, fighting a clean nicotine delivery system, they are fighting for smoking. They are supporting smoking. This bill before us is a pro-smoking bill. This bill will kill. This bill is a kill bill.
Yes!
Today, we are not speaking so much for ourselves, because we've already made the change, we've already made the transition, we know how to get what we need. We've often stockpiled supplies for 10 or even 20 years. But we are speaking for the smokers today who haven't had that chance. We are speaking for the people who are going to die of smoking. We can't wait for a perfect TGA-approved medicinal e-cig. That's ridiculous. One that would be so useless and boring that we wouldn't want to use it anyway.
Yeah!
I have no doubt that Judith over here in the pink, I know her, and as a doctor I know her chronic obstructive airways disease was at an end stage level. I have no doubt that without vaping she would not be here today. She would be dead. So the legislators here need to ask themselves, do you want Judith dead? Is that what you want? Because this is what your bill will produce. But we will win in the end. You cannot stop a new technology like this from spreading through the world, and it is already spreading like wildfire. There are 100 or 200 of us here today. Next time, I want there to be thousands.
You!
They might have millions of dollars to fight against us, but we have millions of people. We will win because they fight for an ideology and we fight for people's lives.
Yeah!
This is the beginning of the revolution, and we will continue and grow stronger and stronger with support from all around the world until we can make smoking obsolete.
Yay! 3 cheers for Attila! Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip!
Thank you so much, Attila. That was wonderful. Our next speaker is Fiona Patton MLC. Fiona is a member of the Legislative Council representing the Northern Victorian region. Please welcome Fiona.
Thanks, Rachel, and thank you, Attila. Yes, save the vape! Save the vape! And thank you for Colin Mendelson as well. I know the great work that he has been doing, and I wish and I hope that this week our MPs will listen to this. You know, there's more people here supporting vaping than there was supporting the fire brigade this morning, and there's no smoke here. It's vaporising. Now, Science 101 will tell us this, but the legislation before Parliament at the moment is saying that vaping is smoking. No. This is completely wrong. To link vaporising with smoking shows a complete misunderstanding, and probably they missed Year 7 science, I think, on this. But I didn't, and I totally support your movement. I think this legislation needs to be reviewed. I don't think the voices of you have been heard, although I would like to thank Hands Up who sent a letter, an email. Well done. They were fantastic letters. They were very heartfelt, they were personal, they were intelligent, they were polite. They were absolutely excellent letters, and I think you really did hit a target. People heard you. I'm not sure whether it's going to be enough, but we need a review. Sure, let's regulate vaporising. Let's make sure that the devices are safe. Let's make sure the juices are safe.
Yes!
But let's make them available.
Yes!
Let's protect children. Yes. But let's protect adults by allowing them to vaporise.
Yay!
Now, I support you. I recommend that you continue writing to your local members, explaining to them your stories, because your stories are strong. And the facts that Attila and Colin have been raising around the life-saving that vaporising can provide is being heard, and it needs to be heard more, and your stories tell that incredibly well, as does, of course, the UK College of Physicians in London, as does many other expert organisations. But there are a small number of expert organisations that, I don't know. I don't know whether they're funded by Philip Morris. I don't know whether, you know, somehow to be anti-cancer you've got to be pro-smoking. This thing is saying that you will encourage people to vaporise. Well, I bloody hope you do encourage people to vaporise instead of smoking.
Yeah!
Go out there, proselytise, spread the word. I will continue to spread the word. I thank you all for coming today. I'll pass it back to the wonderful MC Rachel, but keep it up. Vaping is not smoking!
Yay!
Thank you, Fiona. We now have Mike here from notsmoking.org. Mike is a passionate consumer advocate who runs the website notsmoking.org, providing information to consumers on personal vaporisers and research in the field. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for that introduction. I'll keep it short. After 25 years of smoking and 10 years of quitting and relapsing, as I found out is pretty normal for people over 30 trying to quit, e-cigs were the one thing that saved me from smoking. Are they safe? Nothing safe. Is riding a bike in Melbourne safe? No. Is anything totally safe? No. But the Royal College of Physicians have said that e-cigarettes are unlikely to exceed 5% the risk of smoking. So versus smoking or e-cigs, I choose this.
Yay!
Do they hurt other people? The evidence shows that they're pretty safe for us. For other people, they're unlikely to get a nicotine hit from even when people exhale into a room or outside. And there isn't evidence that any of the chemicals that may be in there are at levels that would exceed healthful levels for other people. So the thing is, with these laws, they've been misrepresented. They've been put as safe regulation. When they say a ban on advertising under these laws means that a shop is not allowed to say the name of a product, because saying the name of a product, such as Aspire Nautilus Mini, which is my favourite, that will be advertising. Talking about a new battery that has better safety features, that would be advertising. And displaying e-liquid or e-cigarettes in a shop would be advertising. So it was asked by the Scrutiny of Acts Committee whether it was that this law was on advertising was so strict that it wouldn't be limited to messages that mimic tobacco advertising and glamorise e-cigarettes, but also prohibit messages that merely contain information such as their lawfulness, availability, nature, ingredients, prevalence and effects. The Minister responded to a question by saying, "It is intended that Clause 9 of the Tobacco Amendment Bill would prohibit the display of an advertisement whose sole principal purpose is to encourage the use of tobacco products to switch to e-cigarettes."
Boo!
Now, this is not what members of Parliament are being told. They're being told that we're protecting children from Mr. Cool cartoons and bubblegum flavours and things that appeal to kids. But this is much more insidious than that. There are a lot of people here that care enough to take time off work to come and stand up for e-cigarettes and their availability. There are very few people in Australia who care as much about banning them. Unfortunately, some of those people seem to have positions of power at some of the large charities. The Heart Foundation charity, the one that gave a tick to McDonald's burgers before the tick was disbanded. The Cancer Council, whose largest corporate partner is one of the 2 biggest sellers of tobacco in Australia. They're giving through Daffodil Day at the moment. You can celebrate Daffodil Day by donating at the tobacco counter at Coles. There's no conflict of interest from these charities trying to have a prohibitionist view. However, our politicians, I don't believe that anyone in this building behind me wants smokers to keep smoking. I don't believe that conspiracy theories go that far. And I think that we need to correct what they're being told. They can only go on what they're told. And we need to correct the falsehoods so that they can make the right decisions. Thank you.
You can video me? Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. Our final speaker today is Steve Thomas. Steve is a consumer of vapes and works for Vapers vs Policy. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Great to see everyone here today. We've got a really good turnout. Fantastic, guys, on all of you for showing up. I just want to explain to you what Vapers vs Policy is, and hopefully you can all get on Facebook and sign up to Vapers vs Policy. What it is it's an idea put forward by Jody and myself that we want ideas from you guys on ways that we can fight the Parliament, ways that we can promote vaping, and ways that we can succeed without anyone else's help, but by doing it ourselves. We're responsible for our own habit. We're responsible for stopping our habit, and e-cigarettes have helped with that. We want all of you guys to stand up, and if you have ideas, present your ideas. Let's see if we can all come up with ideas. The more ideas we have, the more chances we have of beating these regulations. We're not just going to stand by and let them pass laws without any consultation. They don't want to hear from us. They only want to close the doors and do it in secret, and we're not going to stand by while they do this. No way. So what we need is all you guys to support the NNA. All you have to do is sign up. If you can make a donation, that's even better, and it all goes to advocacy. Sign up to notblowingsmoke.org, support Mike, and help with all the advocacy groups that are out there, and sign up to Vapers versus Policy and have your say in the way that advocacy is put forward. So thanks everyone for coming. It's great to see so many people, and thanks for listening to me.
Thank you, Steve. And as you said, it is great for everyone to come out today, and thank you so much for doing so. All right. Just to wrap up, I'd like to thank Colin, Attila, Mike, Steve, Fiona, and just for a bit of a call of action of government to reconsider the amendment and engage with the experts, engage with the consumers, and engage with the businesses to recognise the benefits of vaping. Thank you all. Lovely to see you. Bye.
Yes, I can't see.